Dude, well, I'm excited.
Me too.
I am too. This has been long overdue.
Fuck yeah.
We literally have been talking for months about having you come onto the show. Mm-hmm. And now here you are.
Yeah. And
Here
it's
you
a
are.
scheduling thing.
I
you
know.
Divine timing.
Divine timing. So, let's just get right into it.
Okay.
Where are you from? How much clean time do you have? Okay, that's it. Two so far.
Okay, well, I was going to say, wait, hold on. So, born in Westminster, California. Mm-hmm. So, raised in Orange County. I've got 29 years clean.
It's a long time.
Fuck yeah.
29 years clean.
Yes.
How old were you when you got clean?
19.
19.
Yes, and I don't know why the fuck I got to stay. You know?
I mean, it's kind of hard to think because 19, you have literally a whole life ahead of you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it got bad.
Yes.
Something got bad to where you're like, okay, yeah, I need a change.
Yeah, so I think it was one of many bottoms, right? And I remember the moment it happened, I didn't get clean yet, but I was standing in this apartment in downtown Portland. I moved there. I lived there for like 4 years. And I was like 17, maybe almost 18. And I was looking out the window of this apartment, all these people, older people loaded. They all rode Harleys, by the way.
Yeah.
Sleeping on the floor. And I remember looking at them going, what's wrong with these people? Why are they sleeping?
Right.
And I just looked out the window and I had this feeling of emptiness. And I just knew I was going to die.
You already knew.
Yes.
What were you using?
So by then I was using shooting speed.
Oh, wow.
Started doing that at 15.
15?
Mm-hmm.
When did you start using it at 15 or was it even before that?
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So my family was the kind of family, well, if you wanted to drink when you were young, you could have a drink. It wasn't like we had to hide anything. So I started drinking at like 12. You know, just drinks of wine, drinks of Bristol cream sherry, like whatever was left on the table type stuff.
Right.
And I remember this one time I had asked my dad, I said, hey, can I have a drink of that? And it was like those short wine glasses that have the Bristol cream sherry in it. It was like this thick alcohol.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course, babe, go ahead. So I took it and I drank the whole thing, just downed it right in front of my mom.
Yes.
And I never forget the look on her face. She was like, holy shit. And you know, I just asked her a couple years ago if she remembered that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you remember that moment that happened? She said, yeah. I said, well, what were you thinking? Because you never said anything to me.
Yeah.
And she said, I thought, oh shit. So I believe I was an addict way before I picked that up. Mm-hmm. Right? And I didn't have like my family's amazing, but they weren't very nurturing and like guiding me as a child. So, and no discipline.
You can
No
just do whatever you want.
consequences.
Yeah, no consequences.
Well,
Just
my mom
running wild.
tried.
Yeah.
She tried, but my dad would always undermine. He couldn't let her discipline me. Hell no.
Right.
So
Did you have siblings?
I have an older brother.
Is he an addict too or no?
No, he's.
When did you
9 years older than
you
me.
said at 12, right? But so I mean, did you start to notice? I mean, now that you obviously have some clean time and are able to think
Yeah.
about, was it much younger than 12? Like when you started acting out, or
Yeah, definitely. I like on fourth steps and stuff. I can remember like
right?
like harassing my mom for shit.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna help you out here.
Yep. I can remember like
we go.
harassing my
Wow,
mom.
we can hear you now.
Oh. I hope we didn't miss all that juicy
No,
stuff.
it's fine.
Like, for instance, a Christmas present, right, would be sitting under the tree, and I'd be like, what is that? Mm-hmm. Well, you have to wait for Christmas. And I, like, just bugged the shit out of her until she gave me my Cabbage Patch doll. And then I was like, oh, you know, that sucked, opening my Christmas present early.
Right.
Right? So little behaviors like that, I would just push until I got my way.
Wow.
And like I said, my mom would try to discipline me, but my dad would just be like, you know, he's Middle Eastern. Mm-hmm. He was the first of his 9 siblings to the United States.
Wow.
So he didn't want to see a woman in pain. You know, it was like a whole thing. He was breaking this chain of like discipline and
Right.
harming women or whatever. And so, yeah.
Wow. You just reminded me of a time when I was a kid and I snuck in on Christmas to open up. And I remember like taping it back up, but it was like really a bad tape job. And I got so in trouble by my grandma.
Right. And
but it was
sucked,
like, I could not. Yeah, it totally sucked a bit rude. And it was socks. You know what I mean? Shit that I didn't even care about.
It wasn't even some good shit like Transformers
no,
or
my
Atari
grandma was
or
the best. It was always like the same. Underwear, socks, T-shirts, you know. You have enough toys, DC, you know. But I got laid up for that.
Yeah, so that kind of behavior, you know, pushing my way. Sneaky, pushing, like, and I didn't know any better. I was a kid, so.
Right.
No one ever talked to me about, like, you know, waiting until it's the appropriate timing for things, or maybe it's not the right time for you, or whatever. But I just did whatever the hell I wanted.
So 12 years old, that's when you first started doing meth?
No. That's when I started drinking. And then I started smoking pot pretty quick after that. So my dad and my mom separated when I was 9, and he lived in San Clemente at the time. So I'd come for the summers and visit him. And that's when I would, like, party. Yeah.
Yeah, because Dad was...
Older people, I don't even know how I found these people, you know?
Yeah.
Like on the beach in San Clemente, some older dude. That's
so crazy.
So, yeah, and then I'd go back to Portland, and I started really using heavily probably about 15, like right when I got into high school. I just got in...
Portland, Oregon? Mm-hmm. That's where your mom lived?
She's actually from Oregon, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I just
we have a lot of listeners in Oregon, a lot of friends, too. Wow. Yeah. What a depressing place.
Dude, okay, so that's a whole nother story, because you moved me from California... You know, right about to enter freshman year of high school. My mom's like, swoop, we're going to go to Portland to be with my grandma. And I had no friends, like nothing. And I was really fucking pissed. Mm-hmm. That really kicked off my addiction.
Right. It always probably will. Mm-hmm. You move a kid out of the safe. So especially when you're like going in beautiful sunshine and next thing you know, it's just pouring rain all the time. Yeah, it's so bad. Where's the beach at? It's far away and it's shitty.
Yes, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just
enjoy summer because that's all you got.
Yep. It would rain. I remember years later getting loaded and my mom wouldn't give me a ride. So I'm like, fuck it. I just walk in the snow. It was wild times.
So, your dad, when they separated, and was it just because they just didn't work out anymore, or what? You know, simple.
That's a whole nother thing that I don't know the full story about, but it just didn't work out. You know, were married for 20 years, and then they separated. My dad moved to Laguna. My mom moved back to Portland, and
right. And your dad was a soccer player, right?
His whole life.
Like he was really good too.
Really fucking good. Since he was.
Was he a pro?
No, but he could have been.
Right.
And he was also a champion wrestler in Iran.
Oh, wow.
So that was like the first thing he was introduced to, but then soccer was like his first love. I mean, it was everything to my dad.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing pictures on your Facebook about it, you know.
Yeah.
And he was really in just like great shape too. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Because how old was he when he passed?
82.
82. He looked really good.
Yes. And again, nothing's off limits, so.
You're right.
Like, you know, what we're going to talk about. But yeah, he was 82. He took care of his body. He was in incredible shape. He was obsessed. I mean, all the people he played with when he was younger couldn't play anymore. So he would play with like the 30, 40-year-olds.
Wild.
It was amazing.
Yeah, to be 82 and still out there getting after it, right? Yeah, so with that being said, so it started at an early age, obviously, right? And so, you know, women have some of the most insane stories because always there's guys involved with them too, you know, and most of them are pretty heartbreaking. Like, and the things that women go through in their addiction, you know, is pretty fucking ruthless at times. You know, did you ever have those sort of experiences?
So it's interesting that you say that, and I don't know why I was never abused, raped, like nothing crazy like that, which is unbelievable because the places I hung out in, like Chinatown, Portland, like your listeners are going to be knowing exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Like down by the grotto, like with hookers and pimps, and I was like 15, 16, and I never got messed with. I don't know why. That's a
fucking miracle.
It's truly a miracle. I mean, it's just, I can only say, and I'm not saying that other people don't have it, but why we don't end up dead, first of all, you know, is a miracle. But I don't have a story where I was like abused like that.
Yeah.
I had the same boyfriend all through high school. He'll probably end up listening to this.
Oh, you're still friends with him?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. His mom took me to my first meeting.
Really?
When I was 15.
It's crazy to think about. Like, she probably helped save your life, really, by taking you to a meeting because you like heard something for the first time at 15.
Yeah, and she kind of tricked us to go because we asked her for a ride.
Is he still in the rooms too?
He's in the rooms now. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's got a few years clean now, so.
Oh my God.
I know.
Just years of abuse, though.
Yep. So yeah, I don't have a story that's like, you know, but my story, like, it gets really traumatic in recovery, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of things happen in recovery surrounding death and things like that. Like, and I always want, you know, it's funny because when I got clean at 19, I would often think like, you know, not that crazy of stuff happened to me. Like, I was spiritually dead and bankrupt and everything. And obviously, you know, could have ended up with any number of diseases or anything happening to me. Yeah. But so it did used to make me wonder, am I an addict enough to be clean? So young, you know?
Yeah, but absolutely. Because you were shooting dope.
Yeah.
I mean, I
normal 15-year-olds.
Yeah, they don't do that sort of thing. No. But I remember, like, my first time in treatment, like, I literally felt bad. And unfortunately, this person died. So now I just talked to my sponsor about this a little while ago. He came into this recovery place in Utah, and I kind of goofed on him because he was there for weed and coke. You know? Yeah. And that was like a thing. It was like a hazing thing. Like, bro, you ain't done yet. You know what I mean? This was before fentanyl. I mean, fentanyl's been around, but it was like heroin, right? Heroin and meth.
Yes.
And I think probably like 4 or 5 years later, he smoked fentanyl and died. You know, but it's shitty because that feeling that you're having, you know, like, was that enough? Like, you know, did I earn my seat? Yeah, fuck yeah. If you have a problem with anything now, it's like, well, now you don't want to push anybody away from the rooms because they die.
People will, yes.
They literally die.
Right. Yep.
They'll go out there and be like, oh, well, so-and-so said I'm not a real addict until I try this. And it's like, boom, you know.
Yeah. I remember going to parties in high school and I'd be in the bathroom, you know, shooting up, and I'd be with my whoever was doing that with me. Yeah. And my best friend in high school would be banging on the door like, what are you doing in there? You know, she's still my friend. Yeah. Heather. She'd be banging on the door. What the fuck are you doing in there? Get out. She would like be totally fucking my high up, okay?
Right.
But she saved my life, dude.
Sounds like it.
Her being on my ass like that.
Right.
You know?
So crazy to think of. I mean, like, I did a lot of drugs when I was younger, a Drake, and not a lot of drugs in the sense, like I was doing pills and coke, right? But I can't imagine somebody that young. Mm-hmm. I remember like walking home from school one day, and this dude was smoking meth out of, like, you know, gum had like the cellophane, you know, and he was like smoking it off of that. And I was like, whoa, dude, you're way out, you know? Like, I was drinking and stuff and carrying on with a kid, you know, as the kids do. But
he's like, don't worry, you'll get there.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. And he was like offering it. I'm like, no, what the fuck? You're like way out, you know?
Yeah.
I was like thinking, I always think about that because I'm like, if I would have, that thing would have been a lot sooner, you know?
For sure. I had to do a lot of sneaking around too because I was using in a way that not my high school friends were not doing that, you know?
No.
So I had to like, I'd be like, oh, I'll save that line for later type of shit, you know?
Right. How was it like introduced to you?
So my boyfriend at the time and his best friend, you see?
Well, because I have a girlfriend story too,
yeah.
You know?
So my boyfriend at the time and his best friend, that's how they would do it. And I was like, I want to do it, you know? And so his best friend did it for me, and he only put water in the syringe. Oh. And so I was like, well, that was stupid. I mean, you got to remember I was a baby, so, you know, I'm like, oh, that did nothing to me. Right. Right? And then...
But you knew it was water, or you didn't know?
No, I didn't. I didn't know.
They're probably trying to see if you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so high.
No, I was like, that was so dumb.
Can you imagine if you're like, whoa, this is fucking insane, dude? Like, what? They'd be like, oh, okay.
The next day, my boyfriend was like, okay, come here. He put water in it. So here. And then I was like, oh, shit.
Right. Another fucking blast off.
And then shortly after that, I'm like, okay, you need to teach me how to do this myself because I don't want to rely on your ass. So
Right. And that was it.
that was it.
Oh.
That was it.
And you're
So
just
for the next
finding
4 years.
Yeah, finding needles and shooting.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting meth. Oh, only meth.
Yep.
Never was a downer girl.
Nope.
You never did heroin.
Never have I done heroin.
Really?
I was hanging out in a pad with some people, and this girl was doing it, and I asked her, some random girl off the street was shooting up heroin in front of me, and I said, I want to try that, and she goes, don't ever fucking do this. She looked me dead in the eye. I was like,
dark black
it
eyes.
was a moment, one of those moments, you know?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
definitely I listened to her. I don't know why, because I don't listen to many people. So
Right. Yeah, but when we're in our addiction and somebody says, because that's happened numerous times, right? Man, I just got chills right now. I
Right?
swear, because it's like
like an angel coming out of her
there's
eyeballs.
like people that intervene with shit,
Yes.
man, and it's
Yes.
like you like go back to what you're saying, like we should have died so many times. It doesn't even matter. Like you're blessed that nothing did happen, but there's been 1,000 times that we should have just been dead.
Yes.
Or somebody has some bad drugs and then they die that way because you're using them, with a needle.
Yep.
I know a lot of people, like they'll get MRSA and shit, weird shit. You know what I mean? Like if I'm shooting dope and it's like,
Yeah.
how am I still alive?
I don't know. And I shared needles too. It wasn't like I was
of course,
careful.
please.
So.
Of course I would share needles. It's fucking dumb as I shot toilet water from Tijuana into my fucking veins. You know what I mean? And like I remember going into rehab this last time and I'm like, I'm fucked. Like I probably got HIV. I probably have this.
All of it.
I have that. I'm like, I am so fucked. I've never been tested before. And it was like mandatory,
You're
because it
still
was
here.
a county funded place. And I was like, fuck.
Yep.
How? And I'm like, God, man.
It's
you know what I
true.
mean? Like somebody intervened.
Crazy. We're so resilient.
I know.
Human beings in general.
Yeah.
But especially addicts.
Some of the most smartest people ever, too. Like creative, geniuses.
Yep.
Like just take the bull by the horns kind of attitude,
Yeah, we don't fuck around.
That's why I get so mad at people when they're like really like multiple years clean and they're like down on themselves or they're like, oh, I can't do something. And I'm like, man, you're in the wrong herd or something.
Yeah.
Like fuck around and find out. Like you can just get busy. You're probably a fucking genius. You just don't even realize it yet.
I mean, every one of us has a divine purpose, and it's up to us to figure it out. And it really does have a lot to do with the community that's surrounding you,
Right.
right? Because when we're down
Absolutely.
on ourselves, like having those people, especially in recovery, that are just like going to lift you up and shit like that, like that's everything.
Right. Yeah, it's okay to switch it up too. Switch up your herd and find somebody else.
That's true.
Be a positive influence.
Yep.
So the boyfriend, right? So
Yeah.
he starts shooting you up, and then you're off and running.
Off and running.
And so you never got in trouble? You never got caught or anything with drugs?
Yeah, I mean, I got kicked out of my house,
Mom found out.
my mom found out. So my mom, like, she tried to set boundaries, like I told you, right?
Yeah.
My dad's now in California, so he can't like undermine her. So she would try. I'd say, oh, I'm leaving for the weekend with my friends. She'd say,
Yeah.
no, you're not. And I would leave anyway, and then she would try, like, I don't know if she'll ever listen to this, but anyway, I'm going to front her off right now.
Yeah.
She takes my car while I'm gone for the weekend and sells it and her
Wow.
car and buys a new car for herself, right? So I come home.
That's fucking gangster shit.
Dude,
Oh, yeah? Check this out.
yeah, so I come home, my car's gone. I'm like, what the fuck? And so, I don't know, I must have called my dad or something. So a week later, my dad drives up from California with a brand new Volkswagen Jetta for me, drops it off, and flies back home.
No way.
That's the kind of shit my mom had to deal with, right? So she tried.
I can't believe she sold her car and your car. That's so funny. It looks like you're gonna walk, girl.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, the boyfriend didn't have a vehicle, or was it just you?
God, I don't even remember if he had a vehicle. We would steal vehicles.
Of course.
He would always have a stolen vehicle.
Yeah.
We would creep up on car lots in Portland, and he would hotwire them, and we'd take them.
Yeah.
So he always had a car. I don't know which ones he owned or not. That was so long ago.
So long
Maybe
ago.
he'll be able to report back to us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're still friends with him.
Yeah.
How many years clean does he have now?
I think like 4 or 5.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So cool. Because there's probably a lot of wreckage. Man, you're so blessed, dude, to be
I know.
clean at 19
Crazy,
and shooting
right?
dope. That's wild to
It's
me.
so cool.
I mean, I knew that you had clean time.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly how much, and I knew that you did get clean at a young age. However, 19 is wild because you had so many, big dates, right? Like milestones, like 21 years old.
Yep.
And we know a few people that are in the rooms that are like surpassed 21 and
Yeah.
all that stuff, and
No.
you really don't, there's nothing to be like, oh, I can't wait for I'm 21 so I can go to a bar and drink. It's like half the time you already got drunk.
Yeah, that didn't even faze me. I remember thinking, well, this is stupid because my friends took me to, I think, the Oceanside Pier, and we like walked on the pier for my 21st birthday.
Right.
That was super lame, but I didn't really care about drinking. I've never really cared about drinking all that much.
Yeah.
It's never been my thing. So,
Yeah, you like speed. The fuck is alcohol going to do?
and I like smoking crack too.
Woof.
That
Now you're
was-
talking dirty. Let's go. Crack?
That's the kind of that's when I really should have gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Because I was going to like neighborhoods in downtown Portland to score crack
Yeah.
by myself, right?
Right. There's that angel that was just with you. Like,
Yep.
don't trip, Sherie. I'm with you.
I'm like, I mean, I think about it now, like my daughter being 19, almost 20, and I'm like, I would die if.
Right.
But I have like laser focus on my kids now.
Think about it
Poor
too.
thing.
When she was like, did you have that thought when she was like 15? Like, have you done that where it's like,
Yes.
man, when I was your age?
Absolutely. And I try really hard not to compare to her. Like, I don't say, well, when I was your age, I have said it before, but I really try not to do that because my kids are completely different people.
Right.
Like, everything that, the way I parent is like how I would have wanted to be parented. So I just go into my little kid in my head and think, would you have wanted right now?
Right.
Right? And that's kind of how I parent.
I mean, like describe how, just because, I mean, I almost want to know because I think about this often,
Yeah.
About like those things that what you're going to say to a child being a person that's in recovery, because I always want to do fear.
Right.
And I know that if Wyatt is like me, he's going to be like, fuck you, fear.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me not to, like I'm going to do it now.
Yeah. So my trick with my kids is, and with sponsees, honestly, with generally other human beings in general, we have to get comfortable letting people suffer. Okay. It's really fucking hard to let your kids suffer and let them suffer consequences. And when they were growing up, I would sometimes ask, like, what do you think your consequence should be? Because the most important thing to me is trust between my kids and that they're able to come tell me everything. Because if they're scared of me, they're not going to tell me shit.
Right.
So even if it's painful, like my daughter tells me
Too
everything.
too much?
Oh, dude, it's like sometimes I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe she just
I
said
created a monster.
that. She's so strong and so like honest and sure of herself. It's like everything that I wasn't when I was her age,
Yeah.
And she just tells me everything, even if it's stuff that, like, obviously she's an adult now, but
Sure.
as they're growing up, it's like I go in and think, like, how would I have wanted this to be handled? How would I have wanted my dad or my mom to talk to me in this moment?
Right.
And my dad was like really cool. He was like the one that always encouraged me and lifted me up, and my mom was more like not.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell your fucking car.
Just yeah.
Yeah, like fuck around, dude. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, my dad was like the heart of,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
And so is your son the same way too?
So my kids are like, you could not have completely polar opposite,
Right.
more opposite children. Like he is super logical, he's got an engineer mind, straight A's, doesn't even try. The kid is like brilliant. Genius.
Yeah.
Even keeled, hilarious, funny. Both my kids are funny. Roxy's more like emotional and passionate, and she's gonna talk through things, so they're just complete opposites.
Right.
It's a trip.
What is your traits? Are some of those yours too?
Yeah, I think I'm more like her, more fiery,
Right.
more straightforward.
Right. You
My
definitely
son-
seem that way.
My son is like, can calm me down in a hot second. Just by just looking at me in a certain way, I'm like, oh,
Really? He
Yeah.
has that look where you're
Yeah.
just like, okay.
he's like, okay, crazy, like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah. So
How old is your son?
he's 17.
Wow.
He'll be 18.
And he's already a genius, and he already could just look at a woman who's like, calm down.
For sure.
Yeah, he's set.
He is. He's amazing. He's just like doing his applications for college right now and stuff. So I'm just excited to see where their lives take them, you know?
Absolutely. You should be proud.
I'm so proud of
Yeah.
them.
I mean, obviously you are. I mean, it's funny, man, because like I said, I think about it often. I'm like, how are we going to do this, especially when you have mother and father that are addicts?
Yep.
And we both are total polar opposites, you
Yep.
know, too, at the same time. And somebody's going to have, you know, somebody's going to be like, just like one or the other.
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm like,
both of us are addicts. Both the kids, my ex-husband, their dad, we're both addicts. And so it's possible
Yeah.
so far.
Exactly. Right. I know it is possible. You got two, you know? It's just so crazy because you think about it, you're like, God, I put my mom and my dad really through so much, you know? So much. And my mom,
Yeah.
towards the end, too, like she was like trying to give up, but she was still like putting money in my books and calling me. And,
It's devastating.
you know, and like my amends to her, like I wrote like, because there was a financial thing too, to where I knew it weighed on her. Like she spent a good amount of money to get me into this like pat you on the ass program, you know, acupuncture, massages, you know what I mean? Like it was fucking great coffee in the morning and shit. Co-ed too.
Yeah.
I was like,
Girl, where's my massage?
yeah, dude, it was so good. And it was pretty pricey. And man, I relapsed like so many times in Utah, and I was forced to come back because they wouldn't transfer me.
Yeah.
The probation office there was like, yeah, right, dude.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of off and anyways. So I get forced into this county program, you know,
Yeah.
and it like changed my life. And my mom's like, dude, I just spent so much money.
Yeah, dude.
And you could have just
Devastating.
went to downtown San Diego and got clean. But she don't get it. But she was like, I'm grateful that you're clean, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, so I said that to her, and I'm like, you know, anything that I can do in that amends. And I'm like, I know I put you through hell.
Yeah.
You know, what can I do? And she did what everybody wants to hear, you know, just stay clean.
Yeah, stay clean.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I remember when I first got clean, my dad was like so traumatized by what I had been through, because there's other stuff too that he, you know, like the first time I had sex, I got pregnant, FYI, 15 years old. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And so I begged my mom, please don't tell my dad. Like I was so.
Wait. The first time you had sex ever?
Ever. Isn't that terrible?
That's wild.
Like my mom never talked to me about birth control or.
And it was with the boyfriend that we're talking about, you're friends with? No, different one. Okay.
He was my first boyfriend that I ever lost my virginity to, got pregnant. The second boyfriend I had was the one I went through my addiction with.
Okay.
The one I'm still friends with.
Understood.
But anyway, so yeah, I begged her not to tell my dad. And so, of course, she tells him, and he's like, never speaks a word about it to me, but I just could sense his pain, you know? It's like,
Fuck, dude. The fact that he didn't say anything. Like, I already have lines, you know what I mean? Like, ready to go, spitting right now.
he was so mad.
How old was
So
the guy?
mad. He was my age.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
Good.
my age.
Fucking motherfucker.
Yeah, I know, dude.
Good.
He was my age.
All right.
But yeah, so anyway, when I got clean, my dad was like so happy. I was like in the house, and like I moved in with my dad, and he would tell me every night, I don't care what time you get home, even though I was just going to meetings, he'd be like, wake me up when you get home. Because he was so like
Paranoid.
You know?
So real quick,
Yeah.
when you're using up there, what was the transition? What was like, okay, I got to get the fuck out of Portland, right?
So
Or did you get clean there?
No.
Okay.
Oh no. So now I'm graduated high school, but barely.
Sure.
I had to do like a summer school class or some shit. Heather would like drag me from the dope house to school. The girl that was banging on
Yeah,
the door,
Heather, yeah.
she would pick me up from the dope house. In my pajamas, I'm still sleeping. Get in the car, we're going to school. Literally, if it wasn't for her, I
Yeah.
would be in a very different place. But my
What an
mom,
amazing person.
she's the best.
Oh.
I tell her pretty frequently.
Yeah.
You're part of the reason that I'm alive, you know?
Totally.
But my mom finally called my dad and said, you need to come get your daughter. She's going to die. Like, I was like 95 pounds by this time, you know, just alone,
Yeah.
hanging out downtown Portland. And so he came up. He was going to drive up to bring me back to California. And It was like 2 weeks out. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to be able to eat some food, fatten up a little bit, you know, start to look healthy, get healthy.
Yeah, get healthy.
Oh, yeah, no. The day he gets there and I'm still at the dope house, my aunt, who's now dead, had to come pick me up, take me back home. Heather had packed all my boxes for me. My bedroom was packed because of her, you know.
Where does Heather live?
She just moved to Tennessee from Oregon, like a few months ago.
And you guys are still really close.
Yes.
That's amazing, dude.
Super close. I just saw her a couple years ago. I took a road trip up there. But yeah, so my dad brings me to California, and he's just like shell-shocked, you know, at the way I looked.
Right.
I'm sure. Track marks, 95 pounds, just
Yeah. So where did you end up getting clean?
in California, in Oceanside.
Did you go to a program?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Just
So
cold turkey.
My dad, we get here, right?
And your dad's, you said Iranian? Mm-hmm. Full blood?
Yes.
What is your mom?
She's American. She's German and English,
Okay.
but she's American. So, yeah, he brings me down here, and he always thought he was the reason I got clean. You know, he thought he saved my life, but I kept getting loaded. I had family members who were doing speed, and like I was doing my thing still.
In San Diego?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, I saved my daughter. Well, good for him, though.
I never told him. I never told him.
Just give
you
it to
know,
him.
he's already been through too much with me.
Yeah, just give it to
Yeah.
him.
So then I remembered that woman who took me to that meeting when I was 15, my ex's mom.
Right.
And I called her on the phone and I said, I need to get clean. Can you help me? She said, oh, yeah, just look up the phone book, bro. So I looked up the NA hotline in the yellow pages.
Hell yeah.
And they gave
I
me
remember those.
turn-by-turn directions to a meeting. I took my dad's Thomas guide, made it to...
And hold on. Thomas Guide, guys, back in
Yes,
the day,
please.
it's an actual
Yes.
map. So I know everybody has a GPS now. But, you know, I remember, dude, when I did pest control a long time ago,
Yeah.
that's how I would find out where my next
I
route
feel like we
was,
should
dude.
all have Thomas guides still in our car.
Oh, my God. People are like, what is that? What is a case, Dad? What the hell?
Isn't it the best?
Yeah, I know.
I miss that thing. My dad always had his Thomas guide.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I took it and made it to that meeting. I don't know how. Fucking.
I can't believe that you were shooting that much dope. I mean, that's amazing that you didn't have to be forced into a program, you know, just to get clean. Was the come down just pretty brutal too?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I slept for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, slept in the car. My dad tried to talk to me, wake me up for food. I'm like, ugh, please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't give me food. Please don't make me look outside of the window. Like, just let
Nothing.
me sleep.
Yeah,
just let me sleep.
Leave me alone.
I slept it off for like 2 weeks, and then I started getting loaded. And for some reason, I just thought, like, why don't I just at least try? You know, I remembered that meeting, and I don't know why the fuck I got to stay from that first meeting. I don't know.
Right. Well, we do know. I mean, there's obviously people or something or whatever, spirit, whatever, something was in your life that was really guiding you in the right direction,
Yep.
right? I mean, you've already you lived a rough life from that time,
Yeah.
you know, at an early age of really just running and gunning. And I mean, there was probably, you know, you said you got pregnant at 15, right? Then you didn't
Yep.
have the baby, right?
Nope.
So
That's a whole nother-
that's traumatic,
Dude.
right? I mean,
And I
it's
didn't
like,
even know anything about, like,
were you fearful to have sex ever again? Because you're like, wow, this is fucking insane. Like,
I did not realize, I was so unaware of like birth control and pregnancy and everything. Like my boyfriend's sister was the one, because I started getting sick, you know, like morning sickness. And she was 2 years older than us. And she was like, I think you're pregnant. We need to go talk to my dad. And so I'm like so fucking terrified, right? I'm like, oh my God.
oh
Please
God.
don't make me talk to your dad, you
Yeah.
know, and she comes and picks me up and takes me there and sits us down. I'll never forget this. It's another one of those moments, dude.
I bet.
And he grabs my hand. He said, it's going to be okay, honey.
Wow, nice guy.
Dude, the best.
Nice guy.
The best. And we told my mom, and she made the appointment, right, to go get an abortion, and didn't explain it. Like, I didn't know what was about to happen. All I remember was pulling up, and there's like picketers outside of the facility.
Really?
And you got to remember, I'm like 15 years old, and they're like shaming me, and it was really, dude, that
How
shit.
crazy.
that
It's almost
shit-
like, is this set up, Mom? Did you set this up?
It was gnarly. I had to really work through that recently.
Because things
Just
come up.
recently it came up.
Isn't that
like
crazy?
the
Isn't that
gravity
nuts?
of it. Yeah, it's crazy. That's why when they say about like the onion peeling and don't just things come up when they're supposed to.
Right.
That's like 28 years later
So
in recovery.
nuts.
I mean, you know.
The more that I've stayed clean, like things like that come up too, of how bad my childhood was, like at
Yeah.
a very young age, and like there's a certain time to where, like a certain point of my recollection is like I don't even remember until recently, and I think it's like having kids, you know,
It
like
makes
something
everything
triggered,
different.
and like I remember. And even like the other day, which I have a horrible sense of smell now, but I smelt something and it fucking triggered me back to then. I'm like, man, that's why, like, we're some aliens, dude, or something. This
Yeah,
is
dude.
weird shit.
That our brains are machines, dude. Our brains are 100% of the time trying to protect us. So if something is triggered like a smell or a memory, right? And our body is now going to kick into protection mode if it's something that harmed you before.
Yeah.
It's really miraculous. Sometimes our bodies take over and we're like, okay, bro, you pump the brakes.
I know. It is bizarre. Like you have so much clean time, and all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, and I
This
always
just
thought my
popped up.
childhood was like, I mean, I did have amazing family and parents and like a good childhood, but if you really, really dig in to figure out like where that root stuff comes from,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, no one talked to me about this stuff. So of course I was left to.
Do you want to get into like what was it that triggered it, or like what happened?
Well, okay, so my dad died. It was 5 years ago, November 5th, 5 years ago,
Oh wow,
right? He committed suicide. So
at 82,
at 82.
did he leave a note?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, he
Trigger
did.
warning for anyone who's listening.
Yeah.
Who is
I'm hold on. I'm gonna get buckled up real
Yeah,
quick.
because this is right here. A trigger warning for anyone who's had a suicide recently and doesn't want to listen to this because I'm gonna get raw with it. So.
Okay.
So my dad had been diagnosed with acute arthritis in his ankles.
Okay.
Okay, like a year prior to his death, and it started to affect him playing. It's like arthritis in your subtalar joint, which I guess is some crazy painful, you can't even walk on it hardly.
Right.
Excruciating. And so he couldn't play soccer. And anyone who knows my dad knows that, like, he was literally on the soccer field the day I was born.
Right.
Okay. My mom's like, get out of here, go play soccer.
Right.
Right? So he kept thinking like it was going to get better. He would like rub CBD shit on his ankles, ice his ankles, like take care of his body, eat healthy, and the pain was just like excruciating. So he goes to the doctor or whatever, and they start working with him, but I hadn't gone to the appointments with him. So I asked him like, "Hey Dad, what did they say?" "Oh, I don't know. They said they're going to do surgery on my ankles." I'm like, "Wait, what?" "Okay, I'm going to go to your next appointment with you,
Right. Right.
And so I get to the appointment with him, and the doctor says, "Alex, you're not going to play soccer again. Like, you need to accept that you're going to be riding a bike or swimming." And my dad, do you know soccer players? Okay, soccer players are fucking swimming, really. They're
Yeah.
very proud of their sport. Like,
Yeah, they are. It's like runners,
Yeah.
in a sense,
Yeah.
People that love to run long distance and
Yes.
shit. Soccer's, I don't know. I don't really know that much about soccer, but I know it's very athletic. You have to be,
Yes.
you have to be in the zone.
You're really not going to find a person who plays soccer who's not, like, passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly. Extremely
So-
passionate.
I remember looking at him, and he just smiled at me, and I knew it was the weirdest thing. It was like a switch, right? And my dad had always joked around my whole life, like, if there's ever a day I can't play soccer, you better know that I'm going to be gone soon. He would say stuff like that. Like, I'm going to ride my motorcycle off the side of a mountain if I can't play soccer. He was just had a weird sense of humor,
Right.
And so that happened, and then 12 days later, he hung himself. 12.
That's insane.
And so in answer to your question, if you left a note, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy because my son needed some paperwork for his college application yesterday, as a matter of fact. Weird timing.
Right.
And he's like, I need this information. So I go in my filing cabinet, and I'm like looking up all my stuff, and I get to my mom and dad's file, and I look, and there's the Home Depot receipt. So he left not only a note, he left the receipt of all the supplies he bought to hang himself.
Oh my God.
So that there was no, like, I know this is like hard for people to understand, and I actually don't normally talk about this because it's so personal, but I feel this is happening. So, like, there was no question. To me, that was comfort.
Yeah.
This was thought out. Like, this was not a, random thing that he thought about and just did it. And he left every clue that I would need that he meant it.
Yeah.
So this is the craziest one. My mom calls me and she's like, something's going on with your dad. I'm too scared to go look outside, right? And so I had my son in the car. I'm like, Bubba, I'm going to take you home. Like, I just knew something was up. So I dropped my son off. And
you didn't speak to him for a day or something, or what? Or how long was it?
I hadn't spoken to my dad in probably 2 or 3 days.
Okay. Is that not normal?
That's not normal. Mm-hmm. Definitely not normal. And so I pull up to my parents' house, and I could see his silhouette because it was like evening, coming to be evening. And he hung himself.
He hung himself.
Mm-hmm, outside.
Outside. Mm-hmm. Mother.
Between the 2 mobile homes. And he left everything that I would need to figure out, like, what.
How crazy that you had to, like, witness that, though.
Yeah, it was definitely the most traumatizing thing I've ever had to go through, Mm-hmm. I, like, ran over and just screamed so loud.
Oh, I bet.
And my mom came out, and I'm like, dude, give me... I need a few minutes here. So I sat with him, and it was a moment, dude.
Your mom was there, too? Mm-hmm. Did they get back together or something?
No. So they got divorced, and my dad, like, lived, with my uncles and stuff, and then he lost his house. And so in between houses, he's like, hey, can I come stay with you for, until I buy another house? My mom's like, sure. And he never moved. They, like, were roommates.
That's so funny.
It was awesome.
I bet it was pretty cool for you,
right? Best.
And they got along?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Right. For the most part.
For the most part. They left each other alone, and, like...
I was about to say, they're good roommates.
They were great roommates.
Yeah.
So...
But he did it at their house sooner, so your mom said, hey, come.
She knew something was wrong because of all the notes he left. She just was too scared to go check. So yeah, I had the wherewithal to ask for a few minutes before we called 911, And I was, like, observing everything. Because when your trauma will, like, sear on your memory, you'll remember every little detail. It's crazy. But there was, like, a step stool next to him, that he stood up on.
Sure.
And normally you would think someone would kick the step stool or ladder out from under them, right? Well, it was, like, right there. So he could have just stood up if he wanted to.
Right. There was no going back.
It was like he left every clue that I would need. That he meant it.
Yeah. I don't know too much about it, right? Some people say there might be some sort of, like, illness there or whatever, but I think that takes an extreme, especially hanging, that takes an extreme amount of courage, like, just to be like, this is it.
Yeah.
And you think about it, like, suffering part too, like, it's so much easier there's 1,000 ways to do it, right? But I would just probably want to shoot some fentanyl, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. For sure.
But hanging yourself, that's just insane.
Yeah.
So, like, what he endured before that, because it wasn't right away, especially like you're outside and you can put your foot down,
Yeah.
It's not like you broke your neck.
No, dude. He wanted this. And that's the thing about suicide. And since I've had, like, a lot of experience with death, I'm, a volunteer for a couple of organizations that I'm around death a lot. So there's mental illness, that people just don't want to suffer anymore. There's rageful, like, people are raging out and they just decide to end it right then. There's so many different scenarios that my eyes have been open to suicide in such a way. It's like, my dad was, like, always strong. Anyone who knew my dad was just, like, shocked by it, but not shocked,
Right.
So,
Well, that's like the outside looking in, right? I knew the situation in Facebook, whatever you shared,
Yeah.
And being 82 and how much he was, like, in shape and
Dude,
like how great he looked
best.
and stuff, to where it's like, man, like, that takes an extreme amount of courage and just to think that you can't live without playing soccer, though, is fucking crazy to me. But to him, that's like his passion.
Yeah, it was everything. Like that was his, you know, he is a very prideful person too.
Yeah.
So he would never want someone to take care of him. I have his rebellion. So I know what it feels like to be like, I don't, you know, typically let people take care of me. Like I have a really hard time asking for help.
Yeah.
It's just now like getting to where I'm accepting help from people.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's crazy. And I don't ever have to see him grow old or like, you know, him not be able to take care of himself. It's like his last act of courage. I mean,
Right.
it's really hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
But
No, definitely.
that's my view of it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it too. It's funny, man. Like my grandmother, she was Italian, you know, and my other grandma was Greek. They both had this. My grandma used to say that same sort of thing. Like, you know, my grandparents, they were together for 52 years, and she would always say, like, yeah, once he's gone, like, I'm gone. I have zero purpose. It was crazy to think about because it's like us, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, that was her person.
Yeah.
And she even although she stayed around for close to 2 years, which was an amazing thing. 'Cause my sister and I were like, wow, she's going to be dead probably in a
you
week.
thought it was going to be a lot sooner.
We thought that she would commit suicide. Like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like, and then it went so far to where my sister immediately moved in with her and like was basically surrounding her, you know.
Right.
But I would always say to my sister, like, we were kind of morbid in that way, you know, like, you're going to see her dead.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
or you're going to see her like do something to where she can't survive without
Right.
him.
Mortality's a trip. It's something that has been really, really prevalent since my dad died. A lot has changed since my dad died. Like, you know, my choice in the people I have around me. I mean, for the most part, I have like the same group of friends, but there's a lot of people that were my friends that are no longer. You know, it's like my bullshit radar just like turned up in a way that I didn't give a fuck. I'm like, okay, the stuff that wasn't important became important, and vice versa. Shit that was important to me, I'm like, I don't even care about that anymore.
Yeah. In the sense, your dad was your person because he literally was like the one that was coddling you the most and like never and took you in. And
He literally never gave up on me.
right.
Always encouraged me.
Right.
I'm going to school right now because of him. Like, he tried to get me to go back to school so many times. Like,
What are you doing?
so right now I'm working on my bachelor's psychology. I want to be a clinical psychologist.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Divine purpose.
Yeah, right, exactly. Wow. I see. I never knew the story. I mean, I knew certain things, right? But I didn't know that you were the one that went and, you know,
Yeah.
saw your dad that way.
Yeah. And the first responders, like,
What about your kids? How do
So-
they take that?
so that night, okay, do I want to share this?
I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to.
So that night, I had made a phone call to someone who I thought would be instantly on their way to come be by my side, and they paused and said, "Oh, as soon as I'm done with what I'm doing right now, I'll come." And
After he died?
yeah, like I made the call, and I said, "I'm like screaming, my dad is dead," you know, like, and they said, "Okay, well, let me finish what I'm doing, and then I'll be on my way." And I was like, it's another thing that came up like a couple of years ago that I realized, like, wow, the person who you call in that moment, that's not the response you want. You know what I mean? Like, if Elise called you right now, you wouldn't say, "Oh, let me finish this podcast."
Well, hold on. So,
I would hope not.
yeah, hold on. Okay, well, real
At least
quick.
he would never say that, I swear.
So this is funny. It's funny. So the dog drinks some fucked up water, and so I have my phone over here, and so she had to call the dealership, and poor Dweezy comes up with a note, and he's like, your dog is having seizures. And I'm like, all right, well, hold on, let me call her real quick. And she's like, well, he's shaking. And so we paused the show.
Yeah,
we
you
paused
paused
the
the
show.
show.
And then I'm like, okay, I'll be home soon. He's not dead yet. I'm like,
Yeah.
anyways, Aaron, carry on. So
I mean,
we were
you know, I would hate to say it's a dog.
it's just the way you said it. I was like, okay, well,
Maybe it's a man thing. I don't know.
I kind of did.
So, moving on. We'll
Yeah.
just move on from that.
Okay, no, it's perfect. Good segue. Good segue. I love it.
I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. I love you, Elise.
Yeah. Well, no.
So back to the kids. Like that night, I was thinking, like, shit, I don't want to tell them tonight. So I called my ex-husband and his wife. They're, we're like family. His wife, Rhonda, is like one of my best friends. And I asked them, will you please be here in the morning when I tell the kids? So it was me, their stepdad at the time, Eric, and Rhonda. And they woke up and we sat them on the couch and told them. And they both reacted different ways in their way. And one wanted to stay home from school, the other wanted to go to school, and I just supported like whatever they needed. And it's funny because like I just questioned this the other day. I was like, God, could I have done more? Because someone said something to me like that kind of made my head spin a little bit with the way I handled it with the kids. And I'm like, wow, no, I just literally found my dad hanging. Like, I really did the best I could. And we just had our community just, like, came together for that. So,
for sure.
Thank God.
Right.
And the schools.
Except whoever you called. Moving on.
I'm not naming any names.
Yeah, I know. Moving on. I just think it's fucking wild because I know that there are people like that. And it's like, dude.
I just shared about it at a meeting I spoke at, it's been 4 months ago because I met my boyfriend at this meeting I spoke at. And I shared that at a group level for the first time. And
How'd that feel?
it felt so good, but it was in that person's area. So I got like nervous after I shared it. I was like, shit, I don't know if this person's sponsees are in here.
Yeah.
So it went fine though. It felt really good.
I mean, it's your recovery.
Yeah.
And it was your death too. So what
Yeah,
the fuck
dude.
ever? You know what I mean? Like, fuck you. You fucking feel some sort of way about it? Go fuck yourself. How about that?
I'm always, I'm always hoping everybody's okay though. It's like my nature.
You know what? That is mine though too. In a sense, it's
Yeah.
like, it's almost like people pleasing in a way. It's weird. It's like a weird thing. It's like once you cross that line though, all hands are off. But like I'm giving you peace and space until then. But it's like tiptoe over that motherfucker and it's on.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
And I have to process this stuff.
Yeah.
Like this
Sit it on my hands, put the duct tape over my motherfucking mouth.
Yes. I like actually said it at a women's retreat. It was a women's spiritual retreat. And that shit came up at that retreat and I lost it. Lost it. And the girls were like, that's so seriously fucked up.
Yeah.
They had to tell me, like, do you know how fucked up that is? Because I'm like, oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah. It's my shit. Piss off. Go get spiritual someplace else, ladies.
Yes. That's right.
So, I mean, you already said it at the beginning of the show. I mean, a lot of traumatic things have happened to you in your from getting clean at 19. I mean, you were just still a child, know. And you said 21, didn't really give a fuck. You walked the teep here.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, not to get into like some of the tragic things, but like what were some of the difficult times that you had in recovery that you had to work through? Yeah,
like I've had to work through like not using my voice so that I get backed into a real great corner. Like just staying quiet and like coming into my own as a woman and like stating my needs and shit like that. Like I mean I've been in 2 marriages, that did not work, obviously. So where I'm at now is like super transparent. Like if I don't like something, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
If it's something that's affecting me,
And it took you a lot of years to get to that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I would say, well, I mean, I'm telling you, dude, my dad died and it like it took this veil off me or something, this like crazy like thing off me to where I was like, oh, wow, I don't like that. I don't like being treated like this, or whatever. And so, yeah, if you don't say the truth about what your truth is, you're going to end up in a corner where you're like, how do I get out of this?
Right.
So
the people that have known you, did they say like, oh, wow, you've changed? Like, did they notice that?
Oh, yeah. Like my close friends who are still my core friends have told me how like I've changed so much, in a good way. But a lot of people that were close to me I'm not close to anymore, which they're lifelong friendships, like from day one of getting clean. And I just realized finally, I'm like, I don't feel good around this person.
Man, it's so relatable
Like
right
I
now.
just don't feel good around this person. This person does not bring me joy. They do not lift me up. They're sarcastic. They talk shit. It's like those things that were like cool before just became, I'm like not into that stuff anymore, you know? So,
Man, I'm just going to say this, like the last 2 years of me getting my time, right? I've been saying, and it's like manifesting or whatever the fuck you want to say.
Oh, it's
but
real.
But I've been saying like there has to be a change in my life because I'm allowing so many things to interject and like to be in my life to where I'm like, I know that this is not why I got clean.
right.
And this is on me. And it has nothing to do with anybody else. But I was like, I don't want to be around people that just what you just said, you know, talk about other people behind their backs. And not, you know, there's like that whole thing of like people at dinner, you know, you're having dinner with people, but those are the people that are going to like talk about you as soon as you leave or whatever.
Yeah. We don't have time for that.
But like for the last 2 years, I've been saying that. And then it's just like, it doesn't happen overnight, but things happen, you know, and then when they do happen for me, I was kind of like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, holy shit, it happened.
It
like
happens.
now what do I do?
Yeah. It's not very graceful sometimes either. You know?
And I mean, along the way, I mean, either people are going to stick with you or not. But I think for me, it was more or less of like, I want to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the way you felt too.
Yeah.
Like it's time to grow, actually.
Yeah. Especially with like, I mean, with people you are now committing to, and that's a whole nother thing. Like commitment to me is so different now. Like you know, going into marriage and not realizing like, you better know this person. You better know like how it's going to go, and you better be able to tell them what you need without them turning it around, gaslighting you, shutting you down. Like these are things that you have to know before you commit to somebody.
How long were you married for the first time for?
5 years.
Okay. I'm trying to think because I just had this memory that I was new into recovery, and you were speaking at Saturday meeting in North Park. What was that meeting called? It was like a gang of the old timers.
Holly
like,
Street?
No, not Holly Street. It was on Saturday morning.
Oh, yes. In Hill.
It was literally
Hillcrest?
like, it was like right in North Park, like right next to the.
That's a cool meeting.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was my sponsor to go there, whatever. And I met him there, and you came and spoke.
I was with my.
But for whatever reason, I thought that you were married for like 19 years.
No, so my first marriage was 5, and then Tony I was with for 9 years.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's where I got that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I remember you shared about that, and you know how you're like in a rock band and you're a drummer and all this
that's
shit.
a whole-
and I was
yeah.
like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, and I was very new in recovery, but then like for the first time, like there's only a few women that I
Yeah.
met at that time who were fully tattooed and like, you know, full sleeved and
Yeah.
just a badass. I was like, damn.
I've done a lot of cool shit clean. You know, playing in a punk rock band is one of them.
Right.
I played for 25 years. And then one day, this is how I roll, dude, okay? I'm a manifester, you know? There's this thing called human design, and it, like, tells you what you are. Some people are generators, some people are manifestors, some people are whatever. I'm a manifester, so when I want to do something, I'm going to fucking do it. Ride a Harley, play drums. Like, when I got clean, I'm like, well, what am I going to do with my time? I can't just sit around, so I just want to play drums. So I asked, you know, I told my dad, hey, I want to play the drums. He's like, ugh, I'm not spending money on that shit, you know?
Right.
So I put a drum set on layaway and started paying for lessons every week
Right.
and started playing. And then that instructor asked me, hey, you want to go on a ride? That's the first time besides my dad, I rode on the back of a Harley. So 19, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to ride Harleys. It took me a while to do that.
Right. How long have you been riding for?
9 years.
We're jumping all over the place, but here's the thing.
Dude, you know what? This is how I roll. Okay?
But yeah, that's what me too.
Yeah.
Please. Everybody
Yeah.
that listens are like, yeah, whatever. They can never keep up. So we were just on a friend's memorial ride.
Yes.
And so the pack left, which there's a lot of bikes too. And my friend and I, he's the type of person, he's been on some LFG rides. And he's like, I'm never doing that again because people just get wild. They don't know how to ride, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. I'm like, we're going to hang back and it's just going to be you and I because I asked them to come. And we got to a point where we're looking at one another. I'm like, let's get the fuck up there because people were just in the back. It was even worse.
Crazy.
People were just
insane. Yeah.
But anyways, I get up to the front and I'm like, there you are, like getting it. And I was like, fucking yeah, dude. I was shook. I'm like, it's like Jim was in front and then it was you. And I was like, damn, she's right up in there and you're riding good.
Thank you.
How long have you been riding for?
9 years. Yeah, just about 9 years. And a lot of the time I ride with the guys. I don't know. It's just what I enjoy doing, you know? I like riding fast. I like riding on the twisties.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of, like, getting it, you know?
No, definitely not.
It's
and I've
super
rode with
fun.
you before, but
Yeah.
I was like really surprised. I was like, it was like a proud moment. I was like, damn, Sherry's getting it. She's like in the front of the pack. Fuck all you guys.
Yeah, dude.
Passing dudes, you fucking lames. Get the fuck back. No, but it was just really cool to see. I mean, it's just really neat to see women riders. Like I talk about this on the show all the time. Like I would be in such fear if Elise wanted to. I would say go, sure, whatever. Yeah. But I mean, I am such a hypochondriac. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna die. I'm gonna watch her die. You know what I mean? I'm like that person, you know, to where I'm gonna crash because I'm gonna be too worried about her.
Dude, my boyfriend is, you know, we were talking one time and he was telling me like, oh, you know, it's his concerns about riding. And he's like,
the new boyfriend right now.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I don't even remember how it came about. But I said, babe, I'm not even going to lie to you. I do not ride slow. I do not ride carefully. Like, I don't go beyond my means, but I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah.
At this, you know.
Sure.
So.
No need. Does he ride?
No.
Oh, well, he doesn't understand then.
He will.
He really doesn't.
He will, eventually.
He will? You're going to smoke
Jim's
your boyfriend?
Jim's already been working on
funny.
it.
Oh, I bet. I love Jim.
I know, isn't he the
Such
best?
a great guy.
Let's talk about Jim.
I mean, absolutely. So there was a thing going on Facebook of like what I said to him. And so I've been watching Jim for a while. He comes on rides. We connected to Johnny Grab, you know, and like on some rides too. And, you know, just watching somebody on Facebook, like there's two things. Either a person's an asshole or it's a comedian at the same time. But what I was noticing with Jim, like his recovery is like,
oh no, he's an asshole and a comedian.
On another level, though. I mean, I've noticed that shit too. He ain't gonna put up with shit, right?
No.
But I just noticed like a few different brothers in recovery. Like he would just give them like some straight hard fact recovery.
Yeah.
And one in particular was like a dude that's been working out, and he's like really proud of where he is and came off a relapse or whatever. And Jim's like, hey, I really hope that you're working on your inside stuff so you can match your outside. And I was like,
yeah, dude.
Wow.
He's straight up.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, we talked about my brother, which I don't really talk to my brother. So Jim is like my brother. You know, he's like that person that stepped in my life in that role. So.
Has anybody ever said like, oh, you and Jim are going to hook up?
Never.
No?
Never. No one's ever even mentioned it. Never once has there ever been any energy like that. Like, it's family. I love him so much. I literally ended dating a dude because of Jim.
Really?
Because he tried to get...
In between?
Well, he just said something. 2 weeks into dating, and I was like...
Loser. Come on, dude.
I said, oh, I'm going to be dead and buried before anyone's coming between me and Jim, so bye.
Right. That's so funny. That's how you roll, though, too.
Yeah, now.
Yeah.
You know?
It wasn't like that before?
Mm-mm. I was much more passive before.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't see that, though.
I mean, you just have to know. You didn't know me 5 years ago,
right.
6 years ago, but I was more passive. I put up with a lot of shit.
Until your dad passed.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was the switch, right?
Yep. I mean, I've done a lot of like therapy and shit since then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, to think about you that way though is it's kind of crazy.
It's awful,
yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
kind of crazy because I first met you obviously through like social media. I've heard your story, but it was more like writing, and me, I was just like, dude, she's a fucking badass. You know, rides a fucking motorcycle, has a strong recovery. She doesn't put up with shit, you know, and very outspoken too. So to think about you as a passive person and like people being able to like somewhat take advantage of that is like kind of shocking to me. The fact that a certain situation had to happen for that to
Yeah.
switch is.
And it was a subtle, I mean, the people closest to me noticed, but I don't think the outside world would notice,
Right.
you know? So that's probably why you were surprised by that.
Yeah.
But I just put up with a lot of just shitty behavior. I just don't have time for that anymore. Life is too short to be around crappy people,
Right.
you know?
Or just negativity.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're married for 5 years, and that's your kid's father. Okay. And you guys still get along great.
Yeah, dude. His like there's never going to be anyone that replaces the father of your children.
Never.
You know, like it's a really precious relationship. Of course, when we first got divorced, there was a
Sure.
a period of time when there was an adjustment. But once he started dating his wife now, and it got serious, her and I were like, okay, let's talk, let's figure this out, because you're going to be in my kid's life, and I'm their mom, and she's, we were just both really committed to each other in getting to know each other and building our own relationship, which I think my ex was like, what the hell?
Oh, I bet he was scared as fuck. Like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, I know I didn't talk to him about it, but I can only imagine. But like we built our own relationship. So we're super close now. We chat about the kids. She's the one I call. Like if I want to kill somebody in my family,
Right.
I call Rhonda.
You really? Is she
Yeah.
in recovery too?
Yes.
Is he in recovery?
Yes.
Okay.
So
That's really cool.
how cool is that?
That's such growth.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me like have hope, because relationships don't work out. As much as you try.
Yeah.
And I'm like the same way. Like I'm never ever gonna force something anymore.
Right.
Like I can't do it, as much as it would be, in such pain and agony.
Yeah.
But seeing that, like, Elisa's family, like, there was that time where they didn't really probably care for one another too much or whatever. But every single family function, like, they're there, and now her mom and dad and the husband and wife are like best friends. Like, go to concert and shit.
It's amazing.
Like,
Why not? Why not
so,
live like that?
Right, but it's so foreign to me, because my parents got divorced, and it was like, fuck you, you're a bitch,
Yeah.
blah blah. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how.
And
it
I
is
was like,
for me
I was like this.
now.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, we don't want that for our kids. It's tough, but Dad, we've gone on vacation together and shit.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be beautiful for the kids.
I
You know
think
what I mean?
so.
For that, just to see like people could just be cool and
Yeah.
okay with whatever.
I know their friends have been surprised over the years. Like,
I'm sure.
What the hell?
I
You know?
That's what happened to me. I was like, what is going on
Yeah,
here?
dude.
Like, that's like so foreign to me, you know what I mean? But I think recovery and having a strong foundation, that like, that's going to
Yep.
impact it. It's going to help it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if you're tripping on something, you're tripping on it. It's not anybody else's problem. It's certainly not your kids,
Right.
So I try really hard not to put them in the middle of stuff.
Right. Well, that's good. So what is another thing like that you've gone through in your recovery that you're just kind of like shook by?
Okay, so I would say the end of probably my most recent marriage. That was pretty gnarly, We ended up being completely detached. He would like sleep on the couch at night, stuff like that. We just were very disconnected. I'll just say that.
Sure.
And someone caught my attention and started giving me attention. So I told my husband, hey, this person's catching my attention. What are we going to do about this? And we ended up a series of events. We ended up opening our marriage up. And he decided to leave like a few months later and left.
So when you say open your marriage up, like you were okay with still being together,
Yes.
but seeing other people.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
And so
And he was okay with that.
Yeah, we
Okay.
agreed. He talked to the other person involved. They had their own conversation and dialogue.
Did they know one another?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. And so
Your face right now is so
I'm trying
funny,
to be,
dude.
I'm trying to be vague.
You said yes.
I'm just trying to be vague. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But
I know, because I'm such a piece of crap. I'm like, who is it?
No, Dustin.
Go ahead.
Everyone knows who it is. Who
I
knows
know.
us? So anyway, so he ends up leaving, and remember how we were talking about the passing parade, and it's your turn on the merry-go-round?
Yeah.
Well, then people are like wondering, oh, he's moving, he's leaving, what the hell? And of course, now people think I'm cheating on him, which is not the truth at all.
Right.
And so that was probably top 5 shitty things to go through is to everybody to think something about you and you not prove them wrong. Me not correct people. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
hey,
So
this
you just
is not...
stayed. You just stayed in your lane.
I stayed in my lane.
Oof. You didn't. You never once. Oh my God! Like you
Stayed
never
in my
once.
lane.
Yeah, you never once just been like, "Let me tell you, motherfucker."
No.
Really?
No.
Bravo.
Yeah, dude. I held my mud on that because people who were closest to us knew what was going on, and I didn't need a bunch of extra people. I don't care.
Right.
You know,
Right,
that's it's whatever. So yeah, that parade slowed down and passed, and most people that judged me had made direct amends to me, like, "Hey, I want to take you to dinner. Can we talk? Like, I'm really sorry that I took sides." Because the taking
Threw your
side,
name in the mud.
let's talk about taking sides around here, because you know it's like we're a community of people, and shit's gonna happen, right? And so you start taking sides in something that has nothing to do with you. People are going to get loaded, dude. People are going to get loaded, detached from our community, like feel not welcome anymore. It's like this whole thing. So I just kept to myself for a good long while,
Right.
you know?
You know, obviously, you're tight knit people that you had in your life
Stayed strong.
that stayed strong and supportive. And at the end of the day, that's all you really need.
Yeah.
Because
So then-
people in the rooms, like listen, they're great, right?
Yeah,
But I think personally, people are too involved.
100% agree.
You know, they're just too involved, and it's like it's not even like, oh, you should probably work on yourself a little bit more. It's like, no, just stay the fuck out of my life.
Yeah.
How about that?
We don't have to be crossing over into each other's business like that. That's why I didn't correct anybody, you know? And then I hated monogamy for a while. I was like, you know what? Monogamy's stupid. So then...
So you just dated a few people at the same time, and you're like, hey, check this out. This is what it's. This is what it really.
Yeah, I'm in an open relationship. I'm straight up with people, you know? And that was it. I was just going to be non-monogamous forever.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean sleeping around. That just means I do what I want.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with sex. So then I went to speak at that meeting 4 months ago. Met my boyfriend, and he's like, yeah, we'd had the talk about, you know, my past.
Right.
And he was like, oh, like, I don't agree. I don't do that.
Right.
You know, and I was like, well, let's just see how this goes here, because I get to choose if I'm going to be monogamous or if I'm going to not be.
Yeah.
That's another cool thing that I've realized about relationships. We get to choose.
I mean, and let's be honest. You're saying it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
Because guys do this all the time. If they're
Yes, they do.
single, and I've said it.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm single.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, well, you're dating 2 women. I'm single.
Right.
And there's no relationship. And it's my thing is like, I was very honest, and sometimes that is hurtful.
Yeah.
Right. Because at the end of the day, majority of the time, women want to have a relationship, you know, and guys at the same time, right? But I mean, I'm not special, you know. I mean, when you find somebody that you want to be with, you want to be with them. But
There's no, like, it just happens, and you're
Correct.
like all in.
But you told him right from the jump,
Yeah.
like,
oh, yeah.
this is, oh, really?
He knew. And so, but I've decided we're monogamous. Like, I love him, and it's awesome.
Right.
But he's also the kindest person ever to me. So
Well, that helps then.
it really helps.
Right.
When someone's nice to you.
Without, like, I mean, bashing people. I mean, your relationships, did they mistreat you? In a sense, to where it was like, because, well, I mean, I guess in a way, I'm going to answer my own question, because if you're passive, majority of the time, that kind of means something too.
Yeah. I mean, I had a part. No one abused me, or, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, physically anyway.
Sure.
There was some, like, gaslighting, which now I've come to know is, you know, mental abuse. But, like, my kid's dad was amazing. I mean, I was so young, though. And there was some other stuff that went on with that. That's his personal stuff that I won't go into. But,
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, I feel like that just was not supposed to happen, our marriage, you know? I mean, he's with a woman now that's, like, perfect for him. They're perfect together. So, and we love each other, and we care about each other, and we have our family and stuff. But this one was a hard lesson. My last marriage.
Sure.
It was a tough one.
Well, I mean, when you're getting honest with somebody too, it's always tough.
Well, especially coming and being so raw and honest with your partner, and you would hope they would come at you with some like, okay, well, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do? Let's go to therapy. Let's try to fix this. Like, what do you need? What am I not providing you that you need? I mean,
Right. Nothing. Yeah, that's extremely difficult.
So,
And I've been, Elise and I have been in that situation where I've talked about it on the show before, like to where there were certain times in our life where we had to seek counseling because we just could not communicate with one another, And in order for something to work, like there had to be somebody in the middle saying like, okay, you shut up, you sit on your, whatever the fuck it is.
But you guys were both willing.
Right.
I mean,
If the person's not willing, then you're kind of in a dead end, Oh, it's rough.
Yep. So
Relationships are the most difficult thing to do in recovery.
They really are.
And that's like even with a significant other or just like a friendship. Because I always thought it'd been easy, like, oh, we're clean now. You know what I mean? We're not running amok together.
You got a bunch of addicts with all that shit
Yeah.
in the past, It's like it brings all your trauma up for you,
Yeah.
triggers you,
Big time.
behaviors.
Yeah, behaviors. It's
Like
always,
the shit that used to bug me is sarcasm. Like you have to earn being sarcastic to me. If you're being sarcastic to talk shit, that is not going to work for me.
Right. The fact that people even do that is even, well, I mean, they do, actually. I mean, the thing about it is, though, man, it's like people that want to try to have you pick a side, though, too, through a process is like so crazy because we're talking about dividing, right?
Yeah.
And people in recovery like want to have a home and want to have friendship with somebody. And so they'll seek that validation, not knowing that the other person is getting damaged.
It's so true.
Yeah, and you brought up the fact that like people are relapsing or will relapse, and that's like, I've seen it firsthand, and I'm like, man, I feel crummy because I know that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is doing that. And we talked earlier on the show, like even my behavior, like look, the guy died because he did fentanyl, but like I didn't have to treat that person that way and like make fun of him for just doing weed and coke. Like there's so many things that I've done in my recovery to where I'm like, not shameful, but I had to work on them.
Dude,
you know what I mean? To try to like fix that behavior, to try to be the best version of myself. Because honestly, I can go revert back, and I say it all the time, like kind of as a joke, but I'm like, you don't want to see old Dustin.
No.
Because old Dustin doesn't give a fuck and will just say whatever.
Yeah.
And old Dustin doesn't give a fuck if he gets beat up too. You know what I mean? Like there's no fear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't think our character defects actually go anywhere. This is my theory. I really don't think they leave us. These are tools. We have them for a reason. It's if we're using them to like in survival mode and you use them to abuse people or abuse yourself, it's like that's when they become a problem.
What was the hardest step that you've ever had to work?
Oh, 6.
See, dude,
For sure. For sure.
I was just going to say that right now because when I did my 6th step, I was like 4th step, cool, whatever. 6th step, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mine's the stuff is like people pleasing. Thank God that one's been removed. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Codependency and people pleasing. I'm like, I'm all good with that.
Right.
But the rebellion. But sometimes I feel like it's part of my personality that propels me forward. Because I will start something and then other people will start doing it. And I'm like, I'm done with that. Moving on.
Right.
Like it just keeps me propelling forward.
Yeah. The fact that when I was doing my step, honestly, I mean, I knew I was insecure. I just didn't know how immature and insecure I actually was until I did the work.
Right?
And insecurities was my number one thing. I thought so many things like my attitude, whatever the fuck we went over, right? But I just remember that, like, my insecurities, dude. I'm like, I am one insecure person.
Yeah. Insecurity used to come out for me. I'd get really quiet around people. Like if I felt insecure, who knows me so well about this stuff is Marie. Because we've known each other a really long time. So she'll be the one that's noticed the biggest change in me because she's known me since then and then now.
Right.
But like insecurity, I used to like trip out because I would start feeling it in my body and just like clam up. Just be like quiet.
Yeah. Start just acting out of pocket.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, I know because I'm like, I'll catch myself and I'm like,
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, there you are again. You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, it took a long time. So, like, some of my character defects were just not being truthful, not being honest, not caring about the other person. And so I would do a lot of things that were inappropriate. And that would happen to me, you know, like getting cheated on or lied to,
Right.
or, you know, you're having to, whatever the fuck, right? And so, like, that would always happen. And so every single relationship never, ever worked.
Yeah.
Because
funny.
I was.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
would ever work because it's like, well, here I am still.
Yeah.
You know, a person that has not worked on any sort of issues whatsoever.
Yep.
And it was a rough go, Sherie. It took me 2 years to start working steps. So I was like,
Oh.
you know, I was just not, I was like, oh man, I'm doing the deal, dude. I'm drinking the coffee, hanging out,
I'm
I'm
clean,
meeting
I'm
chicks.
good.
You know what I mean? I'm going to meetings, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, hello.
Yeah.
What the fuck you mean? Sharing like I knew the fuck I was talking about too. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because that whole spot it because you got it. I'm like, oh, dude.
I don't agree with that. Just
Oh,
kidding.
dude. No, I'm like, oh, dude, you're going to have a rough road, dude. Like, Dustin Jr., you're going to have some fun pretty soon. Like, something's going to happen and we're going to be like,
I know, right? And then you
Yeah.
recognize it in someone else, and you're like, "Oh, bro, let me save you the time." Here.
I know. I'm a fucking weirdo too, Ben, because like I have a friend. He he lives in Florida, and I've only done this to a few people, but I pretty much said, I'm your sponsor now, and I'm going to help you because I love him
you
so much.
know what
you
he's
know
up
what I mean?
to, yeah.
But I've done that to like people that have shared too, and like really like I'm going to be your friend now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like here's my phone number.
Yeah, please call me.
Yeah, please call me. And the majority of the time they don't, but
Yeah.
bro, you're headed down the wrong way, man.
I always got like the mean girls would ask me to sponsor them. Like all the ones that are just like so like fuck you, fuck everyone would ask me. I'd be like, okay, you know.
That's
over the
true.
years, it's the trip. I like it now.
And some of those girls that you still that sponsor now have done like such an amazing 360.
Yeah, dude.
Like there's one, I won't say her name, but there's one that I know that was rough, and she is like something special now. She is so spiritual and like so loving.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many women do you sponsor right now?
18.
18.
18.
How the fuck do you manage that? Could you? Oh my god! 18 crazy. Oh, sorry, I apologize. 18 addicts
Yeah.
that all have all different personalities.
Oh, yes.
And you're the mama bear.
Yes. I mean, that's what they call me.
18. Is that your record?
No, but I'm going to tell you what. I had a moment a few months back where I was like, well, how do I do it? I asked my therapist, I was like, because she's got like 44 years clean and she sponsors like the same amount, you know, roughly 17 to 20 women or whatever. And I'm like, so when do you cap it off? And she goes, what do you mean cap it off? I'm like, well, you know, she's like, I don't. Do you trust your higher power? You know, it always works out, which it does because really I have really good boundaries. And my girls know that. Like boundaries are everything. Like if it's an emergency, you let me know and I'll step outside of work or whatever. But generally they call me at specific times. You know, I'm only doing like 2 steps a month with the girls and they know that. So sometimes I have to wait a little bit.
2 steps a month?
Yeah. Like,
That's a lot.
well, I mean, you know, if
that's a
they
lot.
like I'll have a girl call and say I'm ready with my step and I already have 2 scheduled
Yeah,
that
yeah.
month.
Right.
I'll bump it out, but they're not all ready at the same time. It's weird how it works out.
Yeah.
But they all
I
have
mean,
different personalities and
for me, it's like just thinking about it, I've had a handful of newcomers at the same time, and I hope for the best, you know, and it normally doesn't work out, but there are a few that has just been like, not a lot, but there was just like I had to be there a lot, you know.
Yeah.
There was a lot of time, so I can't imagine like 18. I'm like, that just how do you do it? Like, how do you schedule, like, you're doing a step and you're going to, like, I get the whole, like, and I tell that to everybody. If you need me, call me 911 if I don't answer, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of times I was at Home Depot, like, there's no way that I could, you know,
right.
just stop what I'm doing.
It just works out, dude. Like we do a lot of stuff like I haven't had a meeting at my house in a few months, but I'll do like a once a month meeting where
That's
they all
awesome.
come, you know, we do that, and I'll show up to their cakes once in a while as much as I can. But with school starting, I was like, oh God, I started to panic because I
Yeah.
can hold a lot on my shoulders, like a lot. I don't know why. God just equipped me with like this huge
Really broad shoulders,
yeah.
muscular shoulders.
Yes. But I started to freak out. I'm like, okay, if I'm really going to do well in school, I need to focus like 8 hours a week to school, you know? And so I told my grant sponsor, I'm like, I'm freaking out a little bit. And she goes, okay, I want you to get in your calendar and schedule time for yourself, like during the week, so you're not scheduling anything. And it's worked out beautifully. So I have time for myself, time for the kids.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you have
My
time
girl.
for yourself.
I do. I actually am home a lot. I know people are surprised by that when I tell them, but usually in the evenings I'm home.
Where's your
after work.
boyfriend live at?
He lives in Lomita, like up by Long Beach.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really see each other that often. That's probably...
Like every weekend. You know? We'll see how it goes. Like the goal for us is probably a year that he'll move down here, but he's so rad, dude.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just see what you post on Facebook, so you seem extremely happy.
The happiest ever.
Yeah. And he works out, too, and he's doing, like, the same things that you're into.
Yep. He's
right?
in recovery.
He's in recovery.
He's disciplined, which to me is the most attractive thing ever. You know, someone who's disciplined. He
Absolutely.
works out. He takes care of himself. He takes care of his kids. Like, it's pretty cool.
Right.
I love it.
And you met him in the convention?
No, I spoke at a meeting up there.
Oh, you spoke to me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So this girl asked me to speak, and I was like, okay.
And he's like,
He was sitting in the
What's up,
front
girl?
row.
Yeah, yeah.
I had just shared about the thing.
Yeah.
You know, the thing. And I'm like, oh, God, I think this is one of his...
Swatsies.
I swear to God, I thought that. Because the way he was looking at me and
Just really
nodding
engaged.
he was nodding his head, and I'm like, shit. And then during the break, he's all, can I hug you? I'm like, are you one of his sponsees? He's like, no.
Oh, wow.
So anyway.
He said no. He knew who you were talking about? Okay. That's so fucking funny.
It was
dude.
hilarious. I'm
That
like,
is so
God.
funny.
Because I really thought I was going to get in trouble, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
oh, shit.
You're getting butt naked and shit, and like,
Yeah.
so, you know, you're like, you just see some eyeballs looking at you, like, yeah, he's the one. Yeah, I'm gonna get told on right now. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like, if he would have put his phone and start texting you, would have been like all fucked up.
I'm
probably.
done.
Yeah, like I'm done.
So yeah,
Who asked you to speak up there?
just this girl in recovery up there.
Well, that's pretty neat. You do that often?
I mean, there's times where it's like a lot. You know, I spoke at the convention at our last San Diego convention, which was cool. It was the first time I ever did the main speaker Sunday
Right.
morning. It was amazing. I loved it. But after that, I mean, like, I didn't take speaking. I said no for a while before that because I'm like, well, I'm about to speak at the convention. So
Yeah.
it's like a couple times a year probably.
Right. And once you start doing it, though, people just like wanna they want to do it. You had a really good speaker jam too. That you
Dude,
put on that you asked me to
how
speak.
fun
It
was that?
It was really rad. So that's what I wanted to bring up too.
Yeah.
Like I've heard through one of our mutual friends that they came up to North County to come to a meeting and they were just blown away by their experience.
Yeah.
And I can relate because I felt that when I came to speak. And it was like a different feeling. It felt more, I don't want to say like more like home, but it just felt like you could feel like the love.
Yeah.
And it really made me like question a lot of meetings that I go to and I was going to for so long because I wasn't feeling that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people that I talk to, they'd say North County just hits different.
Well, I mean, I got clean in North County, and I've been to a lot of meetings, like all around the world.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, to me, I've never experienced anything like it. And I don't know if it's because we're in our own little pocket up here, you know, up in North County, where it's like everybody kind of knows each other. We do a lot of shit together, the events. We celebrate each other a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a kind group of people.
That's what I was going to say. It's kind because we
Yeah.
have that same, and in other meeting places, you know, whoever's listening could probably relate, but and I always think of like, is it me? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I have to think, I'm like, no, it's really not me because I got other people saying like there's some other really cool shit going on,
Yeah.
you know, and like some other meetings that are spiritual, they're loving, there's compassion, you have like solid recovery,
Yes.
you know, and that's what's feeding me, you know.
Yep.
Like I had to like stop going to men's meetings because one in particular, because it felt like we were sharing about the same things, and I was taking it home. Like I literally caught myself like taking it home,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait a minute, this is so and so's problem. Like
Right.
what? I literally was like a
Interesting
wave
awakening
over
for
me,
you.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so I'm going to kick back on men's meetings for a
Yeah.
while, you know, and just do some co-ed stuff, you know, and bring my significant other with me. Like it was
Exactly.
bizarre, dude. I was like tripping out. I'm like, man, I'm taking this shit home.
You're all, I'm
like-
so influenced right now.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's
anyways,
pretty special. And most
I
people
d-
that move away are like, oh, I miss North County. You know, it's like, I joke around, say North Country, because whenever we invite you guys up, everyone's like, oh, it's so far, but it's
know.
really not.
it really isn't, but it is funny how there is that divide, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because people are like, North County. I mean, it is a different kind of culture too, really. It should be its own like county,
I think so.
you know?
Yeah.
Like literally, but
But I'm always like, my whole recovery tried to like get everywhere. LA, San Diego. Like when I got clean, I would go down to the events all the time in San Diego. So make friends, you know? Like I feel like I like the vibe of everyone being together.
right. I do too.
Yeah.
So what is new in recovery? Like besides your new relationship, what is something that you're looking forward to now?
Well, school. I'm like on fire for my education right now. And my business, you know, I work actually a full-time job too. So I have my Monday through Thursday job. And then I have my business where I'm doing my healing practice, my sound baths, all that shit.
Yeah.
Which is super busy. But I'm on fire for school for the first time ever. I just want to get my PhD.
Right.
I mean, it's not so hard, right?
No, you're gonna do it. Yeah, you'll be fine. There's a lot of willpower there, so just whoever's in your way, get the fuck out of the way.
Exactly. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
You know?
So the sound bath thing,
Yeah.
I need to try it because I heard it's an amazing thing. So our friend Charlie said that he did it, and he asked you like, "Were you behind me?"
Yeah.
Because the sounds
Yes.
echo or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He said, he's like, you know that I like to ride, right? I'm like, yeah. You know, I like to ride fast too, right? Yeah, okay, okay. He's like, bro, we were going 65 miles
Yeah.
an hour on the way home, like just
Chilling.
totally zen. And he's like, I don't know what happened, but
It was the best thing ever. They ride up, and I'm like, this is so cool. These guys are riding up on their Harleys, about to have a sound. Like we did a whole workshop that night, and
Right.
then yeah, I think anyone who comes who's never experienced it, who's like skeptical or whatever, they always something else happens that they weren't expecting. You know, like I take sound bath into a couple facilities, and the guys are like looking at me all skeptical. You know, and I just tell them, if you don't like it, you can leave, and they never leave.
right.
It's the coolest thing ever. It just takes you into this meditative state where you're like on another
Yeah.
planet.
So how did this come about?
Well, I'm a musician, so that's like, you know, a natural transition. But I decided to take a break from my band. Like one of those, I literally was like, I'm done with this. And the next day, the guys were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know,
No, I'm done. Thanks.
yeah,
It's been
scatterbombs.
fun.
I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
You know, but I just didn't find joy in it. I would get like irritated going to practice. You know, I'd like be packing up my drum set all pissed
Like,
off.
ugh, I gotta go
Who wants
fucking
to-
practice.
Yeah, who wants to do that? You know,
Nobody.
I'm like, okay, I need to take a step back. So,
Well, yeah,
So-
new Sherie now like doesn't give a fuck in a sense. Like, nah, I'm
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I
I'm
started.
not gonna just keep doing it because you want me to.
Right.
Right.
That's how most things are going for me. I mean, I'll consider my kids, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But the general public, I don't care. But I met this woman who was a sound healer and like a psychic and everything, and I started working with her, and she posted a class. I'm doing sound bowl class. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. So I started taking lessons from her, and then I bought my bowls and did it in my one-on-one practice. So like clients would come and I'd just play the bowls for them. And then she's like, why aren't you playing for groups of people? You need to be doing that. It's like your calling. And I was like all insecure about facilitating for groups.
For sure.
Fuck. That insecurity, man.
I know. And I would say why. I mean, I know why, But like you are a talented, you know, you've done things on stages.
Yeah, but when you're exposing yourself vulnerably, it's very uncomfortable. Like a new thing.
New thing, yeah.
Right? Like when you first started doing podcasts, it was probably so fucking awkward.
Oh my God.
So it's
worst.
like that. It's like the weirdest feeling, right? But I just started facilitating for groups and people started loving it. And I just, you know.
So you're really deep into meditation too, right?
Yes.
One of the hardest things that I have tried. My form of meditation is like when I go into the shower and I let the water. I mean, like, I love it because they're like, dude, that's not meditating. But
wait,
I'm like,
tell me more. It is actually, that is mindful
so
meditation.
it's like, it is my peaceful spot. It's like where I'll even pray. I mean, I pray a lot, you know, or it talks to my higher power, but that's my spot to where I'm like really trying to focus on nothing. Like absolutely nothing.
Just so you know, that's meditation.
Yeah, I know, but they're like, somebody told me that's like super into meditation. They're like, that's not how you do it. I'm like, well, that's how I do it. Just typical recovery shit.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with whoever that was.
Yeah.
Because this is a whole type of meditation, is when you take your water and you think, I'm drinking my water. Doing things mindfully, that's meditation.
Right.
It doesn't mean our minds are never going to shut off. You know, it's what are you doing to get into the moment?
Right.
If you're feeling your shower and it's raining down on you and you're like, okay, I feel my shower feels good. I'm in the moment right now.
Right. I even got to the point where I was like turning the shower cold.
You're pretty much a yogi is what I'm trying to say.
A yogi. I would turn it cold and I'm like, all right, now I'm really feeling it. And then go back in. I have a whole thing.
That's good.
I know. And I really start doing it since Wyatt was born. I don't know, like, you start having kids, right? And then things just change.
Everything changes.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was like a do-over, right? Because I have a 19-year-old that I lost due to my addiction. And it's like all of these things happen. Like, I'm so grateful that I'm like older now too, to where I can like really have some like calmness.
Yes.
You know, and be like a really good person to my kids.
Yep.
Man, it's so hard being a fucking dad though in recovery. I swear, dude. I'm like, my head is so messed up. I have a 2-year-old and I'm like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like, how are you not understanding? But the patience that I have now, it's all due to recovery.
And it's worth it. Once they become like, my kids are almost, you know, my daughter's an adult. My son's about to be.
Yeah.
He's going to be 18 next month. It's so rewarding. And it happens fast. So
Yeah, I know.
before you know it, they're going to be gone doing their thing.
I know. I know. And just the short amount of time with Wyatt right now, I'm like, damn, where did it go? Mm-hmm. You know, where did it go?
Yep.
And all the things that we go through, you know, it's like, we know it doesn't last forever. You know, nothing does.
Nope.
And you just
That's a really cool point that you just brought up, because that's the other thing that I've realized is that nothing lasts forever. And my boyfriend and I talk about this, and I'll be like, in the moment, and he's like, but what about, you know, in like future stuff? I'm like, I don't have that anymore where I think something's going to last forever. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. Trippy, huh?
I mean, it is. I mean, I can relate to that just because I've had those thoughts too, you know. I mean, now it's like there's certain things that I want to hold on to forever, but nothing is guaranteed.
Yes.
You know, nothing is. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, honestly, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I still think that way today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would agree. As much as I would like appease somebody and people please, but yeah, of course, you know.
I don't even say that anymore.
Right.
I just say, the moment, like right now, I hope it lasts forever.
Yeah.
You know?
Having fun right now.
Like my love for my kids will last forever, you know, and I do think I'll be with him forever, but I just don't want to think that way, get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Because then I start future tripping.
Right. That's a horrible place to be in.
I do not want to do that.
I know. I hate that so much.
Yeah.
When things are going like bad and poorly too, that's when I tend to do it, and I have to catch myself. And it's like it's almost like my disease and I are fighting on a daily basis when things are like rough.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm backed into a corner, which I'm really not. But I'm like, you know, just taking punches from my disease, and it's like this fucker's like telling me like, fuck this, or you should do this, or blah blah blah, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the inner dialogue. And that's where meditation helps. I mean, it doesn't ever shut off your brain, but you will learn the difference between the disease thinking and your higher self. It's like a very different voice.
Yeah. So 29 years clean. There are obviously times that you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm going through this and clean, right? I had to tell that to somebody the other day because it was like, man, you have 9 years clean or almost like, 10 or whatever. And like some shit's going down. I'm like, dude, life happens.
It continues to happen.
The thing about it is like, it was somebody new. And I said, you have to prepare yourself like this because it's not all rainbows. We're just living life on life's terms now.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like just because we're in recovery and we're doing some work on ourselves, that doesn't, like, people need to stop putting that shield up.
Yeah.
Because that shield will break. And next thing you know, you're like, holy fuck. And then you're drinking.
Yep.
Or you're minimizing behavior.
Oh, no. If I can get through what I went through with my dad, I know for a fact I can get through anything clean. Like that right there, that was gnarly.
Yeah. Did you have thoughts of using or anything, though?
No. The opposite. Like I kept thinking, like in moments I would be freaking the fuck out and I would think, what would my dad want me doing right now? And I would get off my ass and do it. Go to the gym.
Right.
Jim didn't let me ride my Harley, though.
It didn't?
He didn't. Jim.
Oh, Jim. Oh, right. He didn't?
No, he said,
Really?
I want to ask you not to ride your bike. And I'm like, okay, fine.
How did this friendship happen, by the way? Let's get into that. Let's have a whole segment real quick on Jim.
Yeah, so Jim comes traipsing into recovery. It's been a while. This is not the first time he's been clean. But he walked into my home group. It was the Wednesday night at the time barn meeting. And just showed up. And we just started hanging out and, getting closer. But really, I think we started getting closer when we both got bikes. Right? We started riding a lot. And he just shows up for you.
Yeah.
Like, he's the type of friend that if you need something, he's going to show up. And he's like my closest guy friend by far. But when my dad passed, he said, I don't think you should get on your bike for a while. And him and my friend Alan, the three amigos, we call ourselves, they both said, we'll stay off our bikes. So we all three stayed off our bikes. And it was probably about 3 weeks until I was ready to ride again. And then we got a ride together and
Yeah, he kind of broke that. Yeah, well, that just once again shows me that Jim's a stand-up guy for even like setting a boundary with his friend and being like, yeah, I don't think that you should do that,
Yeah. Oh, it's
very
like,
important.
I trust him.
Yeah, it's very important to have people like that in your circle, in your life.
The coolest thing is having him find a woman who loves him so much, dude. It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
She's the raddest chick,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there is nothing worse when that doesn't happen.
Right?
Because it puts everybody in a
Shitty
tailspin.
position.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're like, and it's hard because being a woman and friends with a guy, right? And if you say your 2 cents, like, it kind of, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking of my perspective. Even though, like, there's some solid women that I have in my life, right? And I would definitely listen to them, all the way. But then there's probably some thought would be like, why?
Yeah. It's funny because I normally don't tell people when I don't like their partner. Or if I have an opinion about something, because I feel like everyone's path is so personal. They have to go through it. It's like, what the fuck I'm not going to go telling them I don't like that person or this person. It's like, I just kind of let people do their shit.
It kind of goes back to what we're saying, like staying in your lane.
Yes.
And people have to figure it out for themselves.
They do.
God, that was the hardest thing in my recovery, though. Early, I was like, I would be that person, like, that chick's going to fuck you over. You know what I mean? Or you should not be around that person.
Yes.
Like, I'm trying to, like, save people when at the end of the day, like, I'm only, like, stopping their growth, really.
Right. And it's just you trying to control things.
Still have that problem today. It's a major control issue, Even like driving. Like, no, I'm driving. I'll drive.
So who drives between you two the most?
I drive, please. Of course.
She should be the passenger princess.
Exactly. But that's another thing about talking about riding. Like, it's still the same thing. It's like, I would rather you be on the back of my bike than me riding next to you. It's weird.
Does Elise want to ride?
No.
Okay, well, then you don't have to worry about that.
No. But I mean, if she would, I would definitely be like, okay, well, I'm scared because that's what it is. I have fear. But there is that control part, though, in a sense, where is it more control or is it fear? I would have to really look at that.
Yeah.
You know,
That's interesting,
I would
right?
have to look at it
At least you're willing to look at it, though.
for sure. But anyways, Jim is a fucking fantastic guy. I
Yes, he
honestly,
is.
I got his number and I'm like, yeah, now we're real friends now, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like, I really want people like that around. And as a matter of fact, Elise and I were saying, we need to get up to North County and hit some meetings up there.
Dude, yes. Come do. Me and Jim have the same home group Monday nights. It's a book study or literature study.
Literature study.
Super solid meeting.
Oh, I think one of your sponsees, she told me about that.
You should come.
Yeah.
It's
What
a
do you
rad
got-
meeting.
What literature you're going through right now? Because she
We-
said it was different literature that you go through.
Our leader picks every week whatever literature they want. It could be an IP, it could be the Just for Today, the basic text, whatever the hell they want. It could be a paragraph, a chapter. It's really whatever they
Whatever
want.
they want.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Are you doing the speaker jam again this year?
Yes.
Or next year, I should say?
Yes. We're going to do it 2025. That thing was so much fun to plan.
And it was a nice place, too.
Yeah. It was our senior center, and my nephew, did the DJing, which was everything. I mean, music is everything.
It is.
You can really set a vibe with music.
Absolutely.
So,
All the time.
yep.
I have it everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, it's playing right now.
I know. I'm glad we have these because I'd be distracted.
I know. I'm so bad, too. I get distracted so easily. So let's talk about her friend, Johnny. So how did you meet Johnny Grab?
Oh, wow. Okay, so Johnny Grab had been in our area for many, many, many years. He's from North County, from Encinitas.
Yeah.
We ran in the same circle of clean people. He was in and out. He's super, super close to my friend Jeannie. They were like best friends. And then, of course, my Sylvia, she's my everything, starts dating him. They start like hanging out, and she called it hanging out,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because they were just like not committed, but still doing the deal.
Yeah.
And that's how we all got close. And I would go visit them, and they moved to Vegas, they moved to Arizona, and a tragedy brought Sylvia and I together. Her granddaughter passed away, and I reached out to her to support her, and we were inseparable since.
Right.
So
I bring him up because he is such a huge impact on my company.
yeah.
So like
He loved you, dude.
there's like a few
Yeah.
people like that when it first started, and it was like I can name the 5 people, quick. And Johnny was one of them. It was like
Yeah.
super supportive, not to where it was like let me buy whatever, but like supportive in a way of like what can I do?
You can feel it.
Like really, really supportive person, And I mean that was his death was a complete fucking shock, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And it was a really just an awful time, to where me when I see like my friends hurting, like there's nothing in the world that hurts me more now.
Yeah.
It's like one of the saddest things, and the longer we stay clean, I know we're gonna see shit that's gonna happen. I mean, that's why with you with 29 years, it's like you've been through so many things.
Oh, so many deaths. My therapist had me do like a death timeline from when I was little, and seeing it on paper was shocking. And that includes my volunteer work because I'm around death a lot.
What is your volunteer work, by the way?
So when my dad died, there was a volunteer. The first responders suggested, they're like, we want to call a volunteer. And I said, no, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
And the fire chief had black rimmed glasses. I'll never forget. He looked at me and he goes, I highly suggest you let me call a volunteer. The wording he used, the NA verbiage, it just was one of those moments where I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this volunteer came and sat with me until they removed my dad's body. She stayed with me all night until like midnight. Just walked through every step of the process. And so then a couple months later, I got a volunteer survey in the mail, and it said, if you want to be one of our volunteers, reach out. So I did. And I volunteered for 4 years with them, and I'm on a leave right now because, trust me, you need a leave once in a while.
No way. So
know?
you've been doing it for 4 years. So you're walking through the same scenarios that happen with your dad.
It's overdose, it's suicide, it's natural causes. It could be, we go on scene on a street, like if someone gets in a traffic collision and there's witnesses.
What the fuck? That's wild.
So we support the survivors and the witnesses of death, basically.
But you're at that moment.
Oh, yeah. The first responders call us, and we are there with them.
Damn, you're fucking gnarly.
So it's You know, I've seen some crazy things. I can't share about specifics because
Sure.
there's some, you know,
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
who
that's
knows
just,
will be listening. But this one with a 17-year-old boy rocked me
yeah.
hard.
Well, that
It
was what I was going to get at. I mean, that like you're in situations where you're like, oh man, like this is fucking real.
Yeah, typically we can I can kind of compartmentalize and not take it with me. You know, I have my rituals that I do. All of us volunteers kind of have meetings together. We do calls. Our supervisor, our director will call and check on us and stuff, make sure we're okay. But that one, the kid,
Yeah.
it rocked me hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't shake that one for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, kid stuff would be very difficult.
It like was specifically because he looked so much like my son.
Same age too. That's what I was
Looked
getting.
just like him, straight A student. It was like real fucked up.
Suicide. I don't know. Overdose.
Nope.
Okay. Whew. All right. So, anyways,
none of that
I mean,
stuff.
that's what's so fucked up too. Like, yeah, I've been out of the game for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got some clean time, but it was like a normal thing to see somebody OD.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like when I got the treatment, they're like, yeah. So how many times have you resuscitated somebody? I'm like, I don't even know.
See, we don't even think
I mean,
twice about it, right?
I have no idea. Like it's just weird, crazy behavior that normal people do not do.
Yeah.
Like they're not giving CPR and they're not putting an ice cube up somebody's asshole. Like it's just like a normal thing when you're using.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't understand. They're like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's my path." You know?
Right.
It's like hard to explain.
Well, I think for you, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but like watching your dad and seeing that maybe just you already said like it's on, the veil is off.
Yeah.
But like that was your calling, like to help people too.
100%.
Seeing something that traumatic, even though you're obviously like the 17-year-old, like, but I don't know. For me, it would be like, well, I've already seen it. It was my dad. So
Yeah.
I can see Joe here.
Yeah, and it's really about like in the volunteer academy, people don't make it through like even day 2 because right away if you can't handle being around a dead body multiple times in a shift, and the family just losing their shit. You have to be able to maintain composure.
Gnarly.
It's not for everyone, know.
All right, well, let's end on a better note.
Okay.
But I mean, fantastic that you do. That's when you talk about volunteer work, like that's crazy volunteer work. So,
Yeah.
And I mean, you are the perfect person to do it because I'm sure that you just come into loving place for whomever. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Do you have anything that you want to plug or like your business? You want to talk about your business, where they can find you at or anything? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Reiki master and a sound healer, soon in like 5 years to be a clinical psychologist.
Yeah, PhD. Don't trip. Hey,
Just-
hold up.
Yeah, hold up.
I'll be there.
Give me 5 years. We're there.
I'll be there.
It's Azadi Healing, Azadi Healing. Find me at Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect.
Website, whatever.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said earlier in the show, this has been like months in the making,
Yes.
and you did not disappoint, which I never thought for a second that you would. This has been an awesome show, and thank you for bringing some recovery back to the show. I spoke to you outside, and it was like we do a lot of like industry and people that ride motorcycles and blah blah blah, which are fantastic. But LFG show is like really about recovery,
Yeah.
and that's where our roots are. And so for you to come on with 29 years and get really butt naked and personal, because I know that people that follow you and know you on Facebook, as myself, like they're going to hear this or watch this and they're going to go, fuck, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that's that's the beauty behind a podcast, because
Yeah,
it's one
dude.
thing about sharing in a meeting, right?
Yes.
But you can have a conversation for 2 hours with somebody and you find something new,
Yep.
So I just appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you asking.
And I just appreciate everything that you do for my wife too. I have to say that. You're
I
like
love her,
just
dude.
really sweet, and I'll get emotional. Like it's just been really great.
Yeah. I got her.
Yeah. All right, guys.
She's amazing.
You all know the deal.
Thanks, y'all.
Sponsored by Law Tigers. Later.